So we're starting here with the biggest clue in a 42-year-old cold case being pulled from the Fox River today. Take a look.
The attorney for Pheobe Copas, the woman accused of killing her Uber driver, Daniel Piedra Garcia, says the district attorney's office has notified him that she has died within the past 24 hours here in El Paso.
The car that Karen Schepers was driving the night that she disappeared in April of 1983 was lifted out of the water.
As KTSM reported, Copas was on trial for the murder of Piedra Garcia in June of 2023. Copas said she feared he was kidnapping her and taking her to Mexico.
And this discovery gives investigators hope that they can find some answers that have eluded them all this time.
Welcome to Ferocity TV, the home of unfiltered truth. This is Crime and Legal Flash, where we break down the latest criminal cases, legal battles, and scandals making waves across the globe. No holds barred, no filters, just real talk. I'm your host, Amara, and this is episode 1. Get ready to unpack the twists, turns, and drama that keep the world on the edge of its seat. Stay tuned, because we're about to get into it. Let's go. Today, we have 2 cases to discuss, so without much ado, let's start with the first one. Karen Schepers, 23, an Illinois woman who disappeared 42 years ago, has been found. Human remains have been found inside a car belonging to a missing woman who vanished 42 years ago, solving a mystery that's haunted the area for decades. Karen Schepers, 23, was last seen leaving a night out with co-workers in Elgin, Illinois, a suburb outside of Chicago on April 16, 1983. The Elgin Police Department announced on Monday that they had located Karen's yellow 1980 Toyota Celica buried in Fox River. Investigators subsequently announced they had recovered skeletal remains from the vehicle, which will now undergo DNA testing, which could take several weeks. An image shows the badly degraded car being hoisted out of the water on Tuesday, its yellow paint barely visible under decades of grime. We were pushing against a brick wall for 42 years, and now it's starting to give, Gary Schepers, one of Karen's 8 siblings, told ABC7. It adds questions more than it answers them. The only search I know of that was done in 1983 was my dad, who was an airline pilot, rented a plane and flew over the area, hoping he could spot her yellow car.
It was back on April 16, 1983, when Schepers was last seen leaving a bar in nearby Carpentersville around 1 a.m. Schepers nor her vehicle were ever seen again. Her family has maintained that the case was never properly investigated, where they say former leadership at the Elgin Police Department failed to do their job.
The vehicle was first located near a boat launch using sonar before a diver located the car and identified the license plate, which matched Schepers. I wish they looked in the river and found her car 42 years ago, Gary added.
Major reversal today, where Gary Schepers says he's astounded with the effort by local law enforcement to solve this missing cold case.
They have been so thoughtful and everything in dealing with my mom. They went back and looked up the phases of the moon to see how dark it was out that night. Who would have thought of that? No, like I say, they're not the kind of cops I'm used to dealing with.
Police Chief Anna Lally said in a statement that the investigation is still open and the recovery process is expected to take some time.
The Schepers family will finally be able to get answers that they have been searching for over the past 40 years and hopefully a sense of peace.
As the recovery of the vehicle is made, it is important to stress that this is the beginning of what is still considered an open and active investigation with many questions still to be answered, Lally said in a media update. As we continue to investigate this case, we will remain steadfast in our resolve to provide answers and closure to Karen's family. A renewed interest in the case came last year when detectives Andrew Houghton and Matthew Vartanian visited Karen's disappearance for a podcast titled Somebody Knows Something. Since the podcast launched, the department has received tips from the community with additional information on Karen's disappearance. The saga began on April 16th, 1983, when the young woman ventured out for a night on the town with her co-workers. Karen was last seen at a bar around 1 a.m. before she vanished. There were no sightings of her and no clues as to what happened to her. Very little evidence was uncovered at the time of her disappearance, and suspects who were looked at were quickly ruled out. Detectives found that Karen had called her fiancé, Terry Schultz, at one point in the night and asked him to come to the bar. He rejected her offer, which resulted in an argument. Terry was investigated as a suspect, but he cooperated with police and passed a lie detector test. With a lot of cases, you have a body that's been recovered or a vehicle. In this case, there's neither, Detective Vartanian told the Daily Herald. We don't have a body, we don't have a car, we don't have a crime scene. And that was the opinion of the investigators for 42 years. Following the discovery, the detectives are investigating multiple theories, including that Karen accidentally drove into the river after leaving the bar. Karen's credit cards and bank statements were never touched after she vanished, leading investigators to suspect that she didn't disappear on purpose. However, the boat launch where the Toyota was located was far from the route she would have taken home from the bar. The detectives researching the case said there was a crescent moon the night Karen disappeared, meaning the road she was driving on was dark. Elgin has also grown in the past 40 years, so there would have been less light pollution on the night of Karen's disappearance. Weather data showed that temperatures were below freezing with heavy winds, adding to the theory that Karen could have driven off the road accidentally. The detectives have also begun investigating theories that Karen intentionally harmed herself, wanted to leave Elgin without a trace, or was harmed by someone else. As the investigation continues, we hope this discovery gives Karen's family some measure of closure.
Today is kind of back to the old familiar waiting game. And I have 40 years experience with that. What the detective said was if they don't find like teeth or something that can match to existing records, I may have to go and give them some DNA.
While one mystery nears its resolution, another takes an unexpected turn. A tragic twist has emerged in the case of Pheobe Copas, the Kentucky woman who shot and killed an El Paso Uber driver, claiming she feared he was kidnapping her. Just weeks before her murder trial was set to begin, Copas has died.
The attorney for Pheobe Copas, the woman accused of killing her Uber driver, Daniel Piedra Garcia, says the district attorney's office has notified him that she has died within the past 24 hours here in El Paso. As KTSM reported, Copas was on trial for the murder of Piedra Garcia in June of 2023. Copas said she feared he was kidnapping her and taking her to Mexico. Last December, jury selection for Copas's trial was delayed after she collapsed in the courtroom. A new trial date was set for April of this year.
Copas was due in court on March 25th, but never made it. Her former attorney, Matthew James Kozik, confirmed her passing to ABC 7, stating, "Pheobe Copas was and remains an innocent woman." The trial, scheduled for April 28th, had already faced delays due to serious medical issues, including a December court collapse reported by El Paso Times. For the family of Daniel Piedra Garcia, the 52-year-old Uber driver Copas shot on June 16th, 2023. Her death leaves unresolved emotions. His niece, Didi Lopez, voiced the family's frustration. Anger was one of them, sadness also, because where's the accountability? We don't feel we got any justice, and there's no accountability in her death. Garcia's family has maintained that he was unjustly killed and that Copas had other options, like calling 911 rather than resorting to deadly force. According to Kozik, she tried to do everything anybody would expect someone to do before an escalation of force. He claimed that Garcia had mentioned taking her to a fair in Juarez, Mexico, and after she refused, he sped up. She asked for him to stop the vehicle. She attempted to open the doors, but the doors were locked. She feared for her life, he said. Police, however, pushed back on Copas's version of events. They initially stated she shot Garcia after seeing traffic signs for Juarez, even though he was also en route to the casino she requested. Prosecutor Chantal Ortega argued, no facts in the case proved Copas was being kidnapped. El Paso District Attorney Bill Hicks echoed that sentiment, saying, El Paso is a safe community, and to have someone react the way she did highlights a misconception about El Paso being dangerous. But Kozik dismissed the police narrative as fiction. The claim that she simply saw a sign for Juarez and shot him is literally a figment of law enforcement's imagination. He pointed out that body cam footage showed Copas crying, praying, and repeatedly asking if Garcia was dead. She gets into the back of the vehicle and says, Jesus, I'm sorry. Oh God, oh Lord Jesus, sir, is he dead? Another controversial detail. Before calling 911, police alleged Copas texted a photo of Garcia to her boyfriend. Kojic countered, saying her boyfriend initially thought she was joking and that Copas had called for help. Adding to the defense's argument, Kojic pointed out that police found razor blades and a crowbar within Garcia's reach. "I've never heard of anyone carrying razor blades near their steering wheel," he said. "These are weapons that could be used to commit a crime." Meanwhile, Garcia's family remembers him as a hard-working man, likely finishing his last ride of the day when he picked up Copas. After being shot in the head, he crashed into a barrier and was later taken off life support.
Piedra's family tells me he is a loving man who wanted to provide for those he loves, and while he doesn't have any children of his own, he has many godchildren who are devastated at the thought of losing him.
I miss him, and I wish that this wouldn't have happened to him. He didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that.
For the defendant, Phoebe's family, her death came as a shock. They believe she was innocent and would have been exonerated if she had lived long enough for the trial.
Andrew, the Copas family believes that the trial would have proven that she acted in self-defense, and they're in disbelief that she is no longer here.
She became more like my little sister than a cousin.
Her cousin, Frank Tooley, says he was shocked to learn of her death because she had just joined him for church on Sunday.
She testified about the goodness of God, and she says she'll see us back on Tuesday.
But Garcia's grieving family thinks otherwise. They believe Phoebe's actions after the shooting proves her guilt.
The arrest report says Copas didn't call 911 right away. Police say she took a photo of Piedra and sent it to her boyfriend, who she called first, before finally calling for help.
For someone who was fearing her for her life, you would think that the first thing you would do was call the authorities, but she took other actions.
The trial had been delayed twice due to Copas' health complications, including heart failure and kidney issues. Now, with her death, the case will never see a courtroom. Justice remains a question mark, depending on who you ask. Was Phoebe Copas a guilty woman who took an innocent life, or was she just defending herself and railroaded by the justice system? And with the discovery of Karen Schepers and her car in the lake, was it truly an accident, or is there more to the story? What do you think? Thank you for tuning in. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourself and be vigilant about your surroundings. Until next time, goodbye.